it's Jenna D'Sora, and welcome back to another episode of Treknalysis. The Starship Enterprise is known for many things. Science, diplomacy, the Prime Directive, and romance. Seems like almost every character on Star Trek The Next Generation had at least one guest star romance that fizzles out by the end of the episode. And in the case of Riker, several. And even ship's android Data found himself some romance every so often. Not with Tasha Yar, of course, that never happened.
It never happened.
In fact, Data landed himself a girlfriend in the Season 4 episode In Theory. An episode title that every time I hear it, my brain goes to this.
Marge, I agree with you in theory. In theory, communism works.
Also, can we talk about how Data might have a type, blonde and in a yellow uniform?
It never happened.
So let's hop on board the Starship Love Boat and see how Data sails through his relationship with a fellow officer this week on Treknalysis.
Love, exciting and new.
But before I go further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. And if you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a member. Be great to have you aboard. Our episode begins with Data working on some torpedoes with Lieutenant Jenna D'Sora, who is so distracted that even Data picks up on it.
I bumped into Jeff again in the turbo lift this morning.
Oh ho ho, we're going through a sitcom-style breakup with a post-breakup meetup.
It's funny running into you here.
Yeah. It's funny.
So ex-boyfriend Jeff asked Jenna out to dinner, and she said she'd think about it. But Data's about to ruin that man's day.
As you requested, I will now remind you of the reasons you decided to end your relationship with Jeff.
Hold up! Data's responsible for how many ships functions and can make how many gigaquads of calculations in a second. And Jenna's using him to remind her why she broke up with her boyfriend? And Data lists them all, and it's all the same reasons why anyone on a sitcom breaks up. It's pretty boring, actually. Not spending enough time with her, being unresponsive.
That he never did the little things. You disliked the sound he made when he ate his soup.
Hold up, the way he ate his soup? That's it. Jenna was dating Odo the entire time. This is canon. It turns out that Data, because he's Jenna's friend, decided to read up on failed romances to support her through these difficult 6 weeks of post-breakup. Which honestly sounds like a very Data thing to do. I'm surprised he didn't already do that for Geordi.
I just don't feel that way about you.
Yeah.
Jenna, however, takes Data's consideration as a friend as a special gesture. And she's thinking he's pretty hot right now. I mean, look at the way she's looking at him. So, is there a Mrs. Data? We cut to a concert, a common occurrence on the Enterprise, and hold up, Keiko plays the clarinet? Heck, this guy here has a bassoon. Hey, why don't we ever see alien instruments at these concerts? They can't all be picking Earth instruments. The concert actually goes pretty well, and everyone enjoyed the performance.
My tempo was way off. I felt like I was rushing through the whole piece.
Oh, shut up, Jenna! No, really, look, I know it's hard not to point out every little mistake you make. Heck, I have to consciously stop myself from doing that with my videos because the truth is that the audience really doesn't notice or care all that much. If it sounds good and they enjoy it, that's all that matters. Self-sabotage is a hole you don't want to fall down. Heck, Data even tells her that everyone seemed to enjoy the concert. And even saying that she improved her performance. Well, I guess we can't all be perfect like Jenna. The scene moves to 10 forward to Keiko O'Brien literally airing her husband's dirty laundry.
Every night, Miles leaves his socks on the floor.
Scenes from the O'Brien marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Look, Miles looks like he's in pain! No wonder he spends most of his time on DS9 hanging out with Julian. Julian only talks about the weird mole growing on his back.
I've got a disgusting cyst in the back of my neck. Now either I paint a nose, eyes and mouth on it and pretend I've got 2 heads, or you take it off.
Well, I'll get you some paint.
Julian! And a very good job she does it with 2.
And this is where things start to get weird with Jenna. She starts talking about Data like they're basically already dating, and it's a little uncomfortable. She's inching her way closer to Data. She's bringing up how Data said her quarters were messy. She's laughing like it's cute, and poor Data's there like...
But it was not intended as a humorous remark.
Oh crap, is she grabbing his arm?
I guess it's because so many people have left in the middle of his conversation.
Data, run.
And a very good job I did of it, too.
Later, Data and Jenna are working on the torpedoes again. Or more accurately, Data is working on the torpedoes while Jenna is dumping all sorts of personal backstory on him.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but you're very handsome.
He was going to go back to work! Jenna, he's not interested! He only thinks of you as a friend! Data, run!
Lieutenant D'Sora just gave me what could be considered a very passionate kiss in the torpedo bay.
Really?
So Guinan asks Data what he thinks of Jenna, to which Data says how she's a very competent officer. Basically, he answered that question like someone asked him about whether or not to hire Jenna for a job. Guinan, however, presses for a more appropriate answer, and Data basically says that he looks forward to spending time with her.
I require advice.
Don't look at me.
Classic Data. Guinan's not willing to touch that one, so Data starts going all over the ship asking for advice, starting with Geordi? Data, I think you have better luck with women than Geordi.
Geordi, I'm sorry. I think I better go back.
My advice is ask somebody else for advice.
So Data goes to Troy, well, any port in the storm, and Troy actually gives some decent advice for once, warning Data that Jenna is a person with emotions and that a relationship with her isn't just some experiment in being human.
Then you do not believe I should pursue this any further?
I didn't say that.
Well, you should be. This is a bad idea. And why isn't anyone talking to Jenna? Look, I tend to come down hard on Jenna in this episode. Heck, I even call her Data's crazy girlfriend. But she is going through a bad breakup and is clearly not in the right frame of mind to get into another relationship. Like, Troy, you're a counselor! Talk to her! Or, better yet, send her to Guinan. She probably gives better advice. Heck, Troy can even argue that this breakup is affecting Jenna's work and press her into a counseling session. The point is, somebody needs to talk to Jenna because she's clearly not making good decisions. Data then goes to Worf for advice and, well...
If she were mistreated, I would be very displeased, sir.
Data, run!
I think you should pursue it.
Of course you do, Will. Heck, the entire conversation, you can tell Riker's got one thing on his mind.
The rewards are far greater than simple friendship.
I know what you're implying, Will! This is a family channel. Heck, Picard just completely dodges the question, which is probably the smartest thing anyone's done in this episode.
I would be delighted to offer any advice I can on understanding women. When I have some, I'll let you know.
Now, my advice would be that it seems that Jenna is rushing things with Data. Heck, she's practically hanging off of him in 10 forward. She's feeling a lot of emotions right now and is running to not just a friend who makes her feel better, but someone who is incapable of emotions, maybe thinking that because Data can't feel emotions, she won't get hurt. Which is probably not a good thing, and seriously, talk to someone about this, Jenna! Data decides to date Jenna and creates an entire program around dating her.
I have devoted a considerable share of my internal resources to its development.
Resources that I'm sure would be much better spent improving the ship's efficiency. I mean, can you imagine the Enterprise meeting up with Tomalak again, and the Enterprise has a brain fart that catapults them into war because Data's trying to remember Valentine's Day? So Data opens up the relationship with some flowers, a hug, and a little makeout sesh.
Rewards are far greater than simple friendship.
Later on, Data's doing some painting in his quarters when Jenna arrives unannounced to drop off a gift. A gift that Data immediately discerns is Jenna trying to redecorate his quarters. That's totally normal. Data, run! And when asked what he thinks about the gift, Data launches into an entire artistic analysis about it. Because he's Data. Which irritates Jenna. But her irritation is merely a fraction of mine with what happens next.
Don't let me interrupt. When your girlfriend arrives with a gift, stop whatever it is you're doing and give her your undivided attention.
You told him to go back to what he was doing! Jenna, you're dating an android who literally takes everything literally!
The cat's out of the bag.
Spot?
No,
Don't look at me. No, Data.
See my point? Like, girl, what did you expect? You're expecting Data to act human, and while he's trying to learn what it means to be human, he's still an android. He doesn't pick up on the smaller nuances of human interaction. All you're accomplishing here is throwing out mixed signals! I'm starting to think Jeff dodged a bullet.
I bumped into Jeff again in the turbo lift this morning. He asked me out to dinner.
Jeff, no! So Data stops what he's doing just for Jenna to criticize the way he received the gift.
A critical analysis isn't necessarily the best response to a gift.
Look, Jenna, he could have told the truth in that it looks like it came off the clearance rack at Target that ended up in the dumpster because nobody wanted to buy it even at reduced prices. You should be happy all you got was an artistic analysis. Heck, she's not even happy where he places the gift. She popped in unannounced just to criticize everything Data does. Are we sure Jeff's the bad guy here?
Why don't you go back to your painting? Oh, I really mean it this time.
She likes the poppin'. I've told her how I hate the poppin'.
Well, Jenna's about to learn that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because while Data was just being Data, things can certainly get weirder and more uncomfortable for everyone.
Honey? I'm home!
Well, he used a contraction. Clearly this is lore.
I use their contractions. For example, I say, can't, or isn't. May I get you a drink, dear?
Oh, sexy Data just makes me uncomfortable. I can't look at it! But I'll have a tea, thanks.
Excellent choice.
Go!
Stupid sexy...
Mr. Data.
Selala shiri skaldar cherkar. Your hair is looking particularly silky tonight.
That's warp core grease, Data. So Jenna complained so hard about Data not paying enough attention to her that now he's over attentive. Never screw with a working program, Jenna!
Perhaps there is something wrong with you. You don't tell me how to behave. You're not my mother.
I mean, somebody had to say it. Jeff, you made a clean getaway! So apparently Data worked in a lover's quarrel routine into his dating program. Which I'm sure won't come at the cost of a firefight with the Klingons or something.
There's something so forced and artificial about the way you're doing it, Data. It's just not the real you.
Well, whose fault is that? Data was fine until you came over to his quarters and pushed him out for painting in his spare time. Now, while Data and his girlfriend are having a fight, the Enterprise is actually facing a life-threatening crisis. Yeah, this should probably be the A-plot, and it gets lost in the Data gets a crazy girlfriend subplot. Basically, the Enterprise keeps hitting these gaps in space that causes parts of the ship to phase in and out. It all starts with stuff falling on the floor for no reason, and Picard picking the worst hiding spot for hide and seek. But it all leads to 90s memes gone wrong, one of Geordi's engineers getting shocked, and another die rather apathetically via floor absorption. So Picard jumps in a shuttle to detect these gaps, and driving like he ran out of Earl Grey and the store is closing in 5 minutes. Before losing control of the shuttle, narrowly getting beamed back on board, and Riker ordering that they go for broke to get out of this part of space. Considering they can all die, you would think this would be the episode's main focus. But no, we gotta see how Data messes up being a boyfriend. And And after the crisis is averted, Jenna stops by as Data is setting up for a date. Heck, he even redecorated for her. And she breaks up with him.
I think we should talk.
She needs to talk.
Nobody needs to talk.
Who would want to?
Basically, she thought Data being attentive would have been enough, but it wasn't. No matter what she does, she can't make Data feel anything. Well, no, Sherlock.
There can be no argument.
Data, however, is perfectly happy to resume dinner. I mean, Jenna, you might as well stay for the free meal. But instead, she opts to leave.
Are we no longer a couple?
No, we're not.
Then I will delete the appropriate program.
Yeah, well, Data's too good for you, Jenna! You don't deserve a boyfriend like him! It's okay, Data. You'll meet other girls.
Have you seen any good-looking computers lately?
Jenna leaves, and Data is left with Spot to comfort him. I think he's gonna be alright. And that was In Theory. And it definitely was an episode. Obviously, the main focus is on Data's relationship with Jenna, which is kinda odd considering the Enterprise is fighting for its life against floor absorption. I don't know if the writers are trying to say something meaningful about relationships, but all I got out of this episode is how unsuited Data and Jenna are for each other, and that the relationship was doomed from the start. Now, as much as I come down on Jenna, she was going through a tough time and probably needed to talk to someone about her breakup with Jeff. She's not really crazy, but going through a tough time. But at the same time, her entire relationship with Data was about her and not the both of them. Ideally, Data should try to make her happy, and in turn, she should try to make Data happy. Or as close to happy as Data can get. He is still an android. But she doesn't even try to accommodate Data and all his idiosyncrasies, but he has to change in order for her to be happy, which ultimately turns him into something that he's not, and she's still not happy. Their relationship isn't about them or doing what's best for the both of them, but what she could get out of the relationship, which is probably filling a void after breaking up with Jeff. That lucky man. Heck, it's not that Data can't have meaningful relationships with people, he does have close friends who accept him for who he is. The problem is that Jenna didn't accept Data for who he was, which isn't to say that Data can't grow beyond his programming and improve himself, but she was asking him to change in ways that he either can't or needs to work on long term. I think this episode could have been improved if Jenna was a more sympathetic character and didn't throw herself into a relationship with Data. Heck, maybe a will they won't they format would have worked here with the ultimate decision that they don't pursue a relationship and preserve the friendship. Instead, we got a they dated and now they're not friends anymore. Probably. Don't worry, Data. There are other cybernetic fish in the sea.
Then I will delete the appropriate program.
So, what do you think? What did you think of In Theory? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Could a relationship have worked out for Data? Was I too tough on Jenna, or was she just not in the right mind to be in a relationship? And what is your least favorite Star Trek couple? Please, leave comments below and discuss. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Treknalysis. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell all your friends. Until next time.
My advice is ask somebody else for advice.